Thank you for tuning in to podcast number 60 of Sports Talk with JWock. I'm your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and first up, I think today we should appreciate and just say congratulations to the Oklahoma City Thunder for winning their first ever title in Oklahoma City. They won in Seattle, but since they rebranded and moved to Oklahoma City, they have never won, but now they finally have. Congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for having a historic season, winning not just the regular season MVP, but he also won the Western Conference Finals MVP along with the Finals MVP, and he is now a Finals champion at just, I don't remember what age he is. He's like 26, 27, but still, he might be older. I don't remember. I didn't look that up. But anyways, congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Oklahoma City Thunder. A really good season. To anybody saying that this NBA Finals win doesn't count or was just an easy path for them, just stop. The Thunder deserve this Finals. They played well. They built a great team. Sam Presti deserves a lot of credit for building such an incredible team to be able to play, and a team that's going to be able to play well for the years to come because a lot of these guys are under contract, and he built a lot of these guys through the draft. So shout out to Sam Presti and this Thunder organization, and it was just exciting to see a new team once again winning the Finals. And also I just want to say congratulations to the Pacers. I know they obviously didn't win the Finals, but they had one great run, even with Halliburton having that devastating injury that's probably going to lead him to be missing all of next season, which prayers up to him. That's never something you ever want to see. We saw a lot of those Achilles tears, especially with Tatum and Damian Lillard, just in this postseason alone. So prayers up to all of them, and I hope they all have a safe, speedy recovery. But yeah, congratulations to the NBA Thunder, the Oklahoma City Thunder for winning the Finals. This was honestly one of the more entertaining Finals to watch, at least in the later games. I felt like the first one or two games, it was very underhyped and not a lot of people were talking about it. But anyways, I just wanted to say congratulations to the Thunder, and let's move on to the next topic where I'm going to be talking about some major trades that went down just a couple of days ago. Okay, so if you guys have not been paying attention to just kind of what's been going on in the league outside of the NBA Finals, we have had some pretty big trades that have gone down, and I'm going to be mentioning 3 of them. There's been about 5 that I would say are kind of major trades, but I'm only going to be mentioning 3 of them. But I do want to mention Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday, 2 players that were crucial two really good players that were on Boston have now been traded away, where Drew Holiday is headed to Portland and then Kristaps Porzingis is headed to the Hawks. This opens up a lot of money this saves the Celtics a lot of money where they don't have to pay about $300 million or something in the second apron. So they definitely got out of that. And they made some pretty solid moves. They brought in some pretty solid players that could be good role players, along with Anthony Simons, which I'm not sure if they're going to want to move on from him at some point or if they're going to want to keep him and prioritize him for the future. But we'll see about that. But those are just 2 trades I just wanted to mention. I don't want to go into detail. You can look those up if you'd like on your own. But I'm going to mention 3 trades that definitely could be interesting for the future and also right now. So first up, I'm going to mention the first trade we really saw, which was Desmond Bane getting traded to the Orlando Magic from the Memphis Grizzlies. And I'll give you the full details right now, where Desmond Bane got traded to the Magic while the Grizzlies received Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, which one of them ended up being the 16th pick in this year's draft, which was later traded up to pick 11 to get Cedric Coward. And then also the Grizzlies received a 2029 first-round pick swap. So this was a massive trade. I mean, just blew up the internet, at least in the NBA world, where, people were saying, how did Desmond Bane get more first-round picks than the Luka Doncic trade? Which is a valid point, but I think you also have to remember that Anthony Davis was included in that deal, and that is a very big piece in that trade. But anyways, I think I definitely think the Magic are making a big move. Their owner did say he wants to go all in and he wants to win now. And this is a win now trade. And this is something that you are betting on for not just now, you're betting on for the future, because you just traded away 4 first-round picks that are unprotected. So there's no protections on it. So those picks are gone regardless unless they trade back for them, which I highly doubt the Grizzlies will do. But this is a very, very big trade. The Magic now have a projected starting lineup of Jalen Suggs, Desmond Bane, Franz Wagner, Paulo Banchero, and let's say, either Goga Batadze or Wendell Carter Jr. As of now, or even Mo Wagner, Franz Wagner's older brother. This is going to be an interesting team for the Magic. The biggest problem with them last year was they struggled with injuries, and they also just were a really bad offensive team, but a really good defensive team. So I think adding Desmond Bane, it doesn't really hurt your defense because you didn't even have to get rid of Suggs or Anthony Black, while also adding just an excellent scorer in Desmond Bane, who has had some injury history. But if he could stay healthy, this Magic team could definitely be a honestly top 3 seed in the East, especially with how wide open the East is going to be next year with Jason Tatum and Halliburton being out all of next season, along with Damian Lillard. So this is going to be an interesting trade, and I really like this trade for both teams. I think the Grizzlies kind of move on, and I think they can either pivot and go towards more of a rebuild, while also they could just continue to play with what they've got with now having 4 first-round picks, which is kind of awesome to me. And then the Magic can kind of start contending now. So I really like this trade for both teams. I would say, as of now, I would say this is a win-win, but we'll see, a couple months, couple years down the road, and we'll see which team truly won or if it just stayed even. But anyways, let's get on to the next trade. I think this is probably the most popular trade that most people know, where Kevin Durant has been traded to the Houston Rockets, and in exchange, the Phoenix Suns received Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the 10th pick, which was later turned into Kaman Malawach, and then they also got 5 future second-round picks, which I believe some of them actually were for this year's draft, and I'll explain that later. But yeah, Kevin Durant traded to the Houston Rockets. This is an interesting trade. The Rockets really didn't have to get rid of a ton. I know Jalen Green is a big prospect. He's a young player that is very talented. He disappeared in the playoffs this last year, so, that's something to be concerned about a little bit. But in my opinion, I also think both teams benefited from this. The Rockets really didn't have to get rid of a ton, and then the Suns get a really good, just foundational core of young pieces that I think is going to be able to be used to build for the future. You have Devin Booker, who's still relatively young. You have Jalen Green now. There's been reports that the Suns are either going to trade Bradley Beal or they're going to buy him out, which will be a historic buyout if that happens. But he'll most likely be gone. But yeah, you have Malawach now. They just actually traded for Mark Williams, who's still relatively young as well. They have Ryan Dunn. They drafted Rasheer Fleming, which I think is a steal. This Suns team is building something really nice for the future, and I really like how the Suns are doing this now, especially if they get rid of Bradley Beal. They're going to be building towards more of a younger core, and that's, I think, how they were the most successful when they had that first finals run, is they were kind of building with what they had, and they didn't just try to rush the process, which ended up happening when they traded for Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. It kind of screwed up their whatever they were trying to build with, and they just kind of sped it up, and it ended up not working out at all, and it led them to actually being worse. So I like this trade for both teams. And let's get on to the final trade, as we saw, and I know this isn't like a major trade, but it can lead to major things next season, where Jordan Poole and Sadiq Bey, along with the 40th overall pick, has been traded to the New Orleans Pelicans. And then the Wizards receive CJ McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, and a future second-round pick. Now, a lot of people are like, why would the Wizards do this? They probably could have gotten more for Jordan Poole. Here's the reason why. The Wizards did this because CJ McCollum is going to be, I believe, on an expiring deal. Chris Middleton's going to be on an expiring deal. Marcus Smart's going to be on an expiring deal. And I think Kelly Olynyk as well. And if that's the case, Shams Charania tweeted kind of shortly after this trade went down, that the Wizards could be projected a little above $100 million in salary cap space going into the 2026 offseason, which is an insane amount of money. And if you don't know some of the notable players, a player that could potentially be in free agency next year is Luka Doncic. And now, obviously, that's if he opts in or out of his contract. He does have that player option, I believe, for next season, so he could be gone from the Lakers. Who knows? I don't think he would go to the Wizards, but the Wizards now have so much financial flexibility after this season. It's unbelievable. They're a rebuilding team. They don't need to be, trying to be big spenders right now, so it's okay to take on these massive contracts just to move on from them this upcoming offseason, or they could look to trade them at the trade deadline to try to maybe get some younger pieces or some extra draft capital. So I think this is a really good trade for the Wizards. Kind of a head scratcher for the Pelicans, though. I mean, the Pelicans have made some weird moves this offseason. I mean, in the draft and also just adding Jordan Poole. I don't know how to explain it, but I really don't like this trade for the Pelicans. I really do like this for the Wizards, though. But let me know what you guys think down below on all three of these trades, and who do you think won each trade down below in the comments. But let's get into the final topic right after this break about who I think was the biggest winners of this NBA draft. And we are on the final topic of today's episode, where I'm going to be talking about two teams that I really do believe are the biggest winners of this NBA draft. And first off, I just want to say I just kind of want to do an honorable mention for a team that I really didn't think did that great in the draft, and that is the Utah Jazz. I understand Ace Bailey is a great prospect. You drafted him at pick 5, which realistically is great value for him. But the problem is we're already seeing a lot of drama with Ace Bailey, potentially not even in contact with the team hardly. His agent is kind of just trying to milk it and make it seem like everything's okay. I do feel like Ace Bailey is really upset that he's in Utah, one of the teams that he did not want to go to, compared to the Wizards, which were the next pick, which was one of his preferred destinations. Which, by the way, Ace Bailey, appreciate where you get drafted, because let me tell you something. This team took the chance and drafted you. Appreciate that and go out and play well for them. Stop trying to complain about this. Stop trying to get everything you want. You are in the NBA now. This is a professional league. This is a business. You need to grow up and start being a professional at this, because let me tell you something, a lot of teams aren't going to want to listen or handle your immaturity because you don't want to play for a team, so you're just not going to talk to them. A lot of teams aren't going to handle that. So if you want to make it far in the league, Ace, seriously, just play for who wants you there. The Utah Jazz wants you. Go out and play your best instead of complain. I don't know if that made any sense to you guys. But anyways, let's talk about the two teams that I think are the biggest winners of this draft. Let's start with the San Antonio Spurs, where they had an unbelievable draft. They had 2 picks in the lottery. They drafted Dylan Harper at pick number 2 and Carter Bryant at pick 14. This was a dream draft for the Spurs. I mean, this is you can't do much better than what the Spurs did in the draft this year. Adding Dylan Harper, the left-handed Cade Cunningham, a lot of people would say, that's already a great start. Now they can maybe, I know this is weird, but now they can maybe try to look to move on from De'Aaron Fox in the future. Maybe not this year, but maybe next year or something, as he will be a free agent. You probably don't even have to have that pressure to bring him back. And it's not like you got rid of much for him anyways. And then they also adding Carter Bryant, one of my favorite prospects, who I wish kind of the Bulls drafted. I'm still happy with Noah Gay, but I do like Carter Bryant a lot. Who's a very raw prospect. He's going to take time to develop, but he is going to be able to come into the league immediately, being able to play tough defense. He's a very athletic player, and he's also got a pretty solid three-point jump shot. So I think he's going to be really beneficial to the Spurs core. I really like this for the Spurs. This is really going to solidify that this team, if they can stay healthy, can be a sneaky playoff team, and I really like that for the Spurs. And then the final team that I think is the winners is the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns have had, honestly, a dream offseason so far, And like I said earlier, if they can move on from Bradley Beal, whether that's a trade or buyout, a trade would be better, but a buyout would be probably, it might be necessary if no teams want him or if Bradley Beal just doesn't want to get traded to those teams. That would be excellent. Like, the Suns would be moving in such a great direction, and they already are after this draft, where they drafted Kaman Malawach at pick number 10. That's great value. I personally thought he was going to get drafted at like pick 8 or 9 to either the Nets or the Raptors. He ended up falling right into the Suns' hands when they needed a center. What a move for the Phoenix Suns. Also, they traded up eventually to draft Rasheer Fleming at pick 31, which I thought could have been a sneaky lottery pick, and they got him in the first pick of the second round. That is immense value for Rasheer Fleming. They also got their new starting power forward now, potentially, in Rasheer Fleming. So, absolute steal of a pick there. And then also Kobe Brea 10 picks later at pick 41, which they also traded up for. The guard from, I believe, let me look this up real quick. Kobe. And from Kentucky, the guard from Kentucky. So, yeah, the Suns got 3 really good players. They're building a nice young core now, and I think these 3 players are going to be really excellent. Overall, I think the draft was really well. I think other teams drafted well. I just think these 2 teams stood out the most to me. But anyways, that's going to be the end of podcast number 60. I apologize if I was kind of all over the place today. I've got a lot going on soon. I'm going to be going on vacation soon, so who knows if I'll make an episode next week. But anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode, podcast number 60 of Sports Talk with JWock. If you want to check out any of my social media platforms, check it down below in the description below. But anyways, I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.